I wanted to talk about Archive 81 for so long now, but I don't think I ever found the right context to talk about it. That is, until Netflix didn't renew the show for a second season and cancelled it. Now, hold on. I promise there's still a reason to talk about this show, and that the context in which I'll talk about it will matter even more than the actual show itself. So I'll have two sections on this video. One where I'll talk about how good the Archive 81 is, and it will be entirely spoiler free, and one section about how Netflix killed its own dream. Let's get into it. Archive 81 starts with a cry for help from a woman named Melody. We won't hear from her for a few minutes into the show, as our perspective immediately changes to Dan. Dan is a film archivist, and his job consists of repairing old movie tapes and restoring them to working condition. Eventually, he receives a job proposal to restore videotapes found at the Visor, a building that has burned down a few decades prior. The proposal came from Davenport, a wealthy man that claims he wants to bring peace to the families that lost people on that fire. Davenport keeps to himself many secrets, and Dan is aware there's more to this, but accepts the proposal anyway. Dan is provided a compound building in the woods where he can conduct the restoration of these tapes in solitude. Those tapes were recorded by Melody, a graduate student working on a documentary at the Visor, interviewing people that live there and learning the history of the building. But that's just a cover for the real purpose: finding information about her mother that stayed at the Visor for some time. From here on out, we have Dan discovering Melody's story through these tapes, and he finds out that they are connected in a lot of different ways. There is a supernatural element to this story that builds up over time, but it's not just your run-of-the-mill tacky ghost or demon. With Archive 81 you'll find that the truly terrifying aspects are the people. Once you start watching, you feel the directors pulling at your strings and building tension just as the story unravels. If you're looking for a horror show that will throw things at you, jump scare you to death, or treat you like a child and explain everything, this is not it. It has a dreamlike quality to it, where you don't get all the answers, but you walk the paths that both Dan and Melody are on to find those answers. The show keeps the suspense and is not afraid of keeping you in the dark until it has something to reveal. It's one of the better qualities that horror shows and movies seem to forget often. There's nothing we fear more than the unknown. Once you give something a name, a description, a logic to follow, the fear won't be as potent. Your mind will start working to resolve a problem that it recognizes, rather than be frozen and paralyzed by it. What do you do when what you fear doesn't reveal itself to you? When the fear just envelops what you see with no explanation, logic, or objective. It just exists, and you need to exist with it. The way that Archive 81 peels the narrative bit by bit only works because the characters on the show are well acted and interesting to watch. You can't resist looking at Dan or Melody's reactions and be in the moment with them. They show their character, their fears, the little glimpses of common happiness that we all can relate to. They feel like real people. As the story goes forward, we know that something is going on, and Melody and Dan don't follow the typical trope of ignoring every warning sign and go head first into the maws of doom. They are methodical on their approach, and they convey their doubts about what is going on. They act smart to protect themselves from the dangers that may lie ahead. As Dan connects with Melody through these tapes, we also see a kinship develop. He cares for Melody, and he knows her more with each tape. In turn, Melody learns of the Visor and how something about the residents of the building eludes her. In Dan's world, we see his relentless will for logic and making sense of the tapes he sees. In Melody's world, we see her inquisitive nature and natural warmth open the way to more answers. They are two kindred spirits, years apart, learning their own history and each other's. That's my pitch for how good Archive 81 is. If you still need a full review before you go at first, I get it, but believe me, you'll be surprised when you see it, and you will enjoy it a lot more the less you know about it. If you're a fan of the SCP Foundation stories, this is the best possible pitch. Imagine this show is about one of the SCPs. It's the show you always wanted but will likely never get officially. Now let's talk about the Netflix dream. Netflix has been in our lives for a while now, and it had many landmark moments where you could definitely see the platform as being one of the most innovative and worth keeping your eye on. But I'd like to point your attention to a single release of a show. Stranger Things. It took the world by storm. It didn't matter how old or how young you heard of it. But did you know that Stranger Things got rejected 15 times before Netflix gave it the green light to the project? Can you imagine being the executive that worked at whatever network at the time and refused it? The show went on to be seen by millions on Netflix, while other more established networks couldn't see the forest for the trees and ignored one of the most interesting shows in the last couple of decades. And it's important to understand why they refused. Why would you spend 6 million per episode on a show when you can mass produce garbage that will still be enjoyed? Netflix acted differently at the time. They saw the potential audience of a show and invested in it, because they knew that people crave for something different that networks won't be brave enough to deliver. And they were smart on the delivery of the content. They kept people excited for the service by using established IPs, but also releasing new ideas to be uplifted by the audience. So what exactly changed with Netflix since then? They spend a lot of money in shows that no one will watch. There is no longer a bar of quality that needs to be achieved. Everyone gets a shot. You have an old notepad with a script? Netflix will take it off your hands. 1 season guarantee? 2nd season unlikely. They seem to no longer believe on the shows they are greenlighting. They throw a show out the door, hope it's a success like Stranger Things, and if it isn't, well, it's cancelled without a 2nd season. And they do it without advertising their own shows, shooting themselves on the foot even more. So they release something you're unlikely to find, and if you are the unlucky SOB that does find it, well, you won't get a 2nd season, friend. This is what I'm talking about when I say the death of the Netflix dream. And this dream was shared by many people for different reasons. The writers that came up with different kinds of stories that weren't possible to realize anywhere else. The actors that had breakthroughs in their career and got to show the world they could fill bigger roles. The production crews that got more work coming their way and more often. And the viewers that could finally get shows that networks refused to do. But now you get this. Chasing Cameron. A story of a Vine celebrity because we are so hip and with the times at Netflix. Blockbuster. A series about the last blockbuster on earth or whatever. I'm sure most of your audience will really connect with that, Netflix. Too Hot to Handle. Because having trashy TV can't be exclusive to network television. Now you can stream trash too. Sexy Beasts. Man, I don't even fucking want to talk about this one. I'm serious, and the only reason I'm talking about it is because I'm pissed, and you should be too by guilty association. It's a dating show where people wear animal masks and shit. Yeah, that's it. Dad, stop embarrassing me. Because Jamie Foxx forgot he's an actually talented actor that should be doing much more than cringy sitcoms. The Goop Lab. A show about Gwyneth Paltrow and her weird business with vagina-related products or whatever. It got a 2nd season, even though it's one of the worst rated Netflix shows. I'm sure Netflix is keeping itself honest with that investment. There's so much more nonsense that I could possibly include in this video. And do you know why these shows get greenlit? Because instead of being done by people that actually want to tell a story, they are created by spreadsheet moguls that try to fit in as many social media points into the mix and calculate the views that it will generate. What the fuck happened to giving good shows a chance? Why is the budget being funneled into trashy reality TV shows instead of uplifting original ideas? What happened to the investment in international productions to tell stories from all around the world? Which to me was one of the most exciting things Netflix did. Get productions outside of the US and Canada? Yes, please. There are other stories to tell all over the world. I don't want this video to just become a rant on why I'm pissed about a favorite show getting cancelled, so let's look at some actual data. This graph is created by Google Trends based on searches that happen through their search engine. In blue, you'll see Sexy Beasts, the British TV dating show with people dressed as animals. In red, you'll see Archive 81. In yellow, you'll see yet another teenage high school drama show. In green, you'll see a trashy reality TV show, Too Hot to Handle. In purple, the the Weird Vagina Show from Gwyneth Paltrow, or whatever. Quite a selection, right? You can see that there is massive interest in Archive 81 when it released, and then a steep decline as the show was barely advertised and didn't get a new season announced. Meanwhile, you have Sexy Beasts that has never shown any indication of being watched by a human being with intelligence, never came close to Archive 81, and yet got a second season. Wonderful, isn't it? Take a look at Too Hot to Handle. Massive interest over time, expected for a reality TV show, and supported by continuous releases of new seasons. Heartbreak High, that gathered less than half the interest of Archive 81, renewed for a second season. Now, I know that the sample I've shown can be meaningless on the grand scheme of things. I know there are other factors at play like budget, time to shoot, etc. And maybe there are even more comparable shows that I could have used. But my point is that I can't see the logic. They are clearly not investing solely based on interests, because if they did, shows with similar performance would have to get the same treatment, which is not the case. In the case of Archive 81, there's some information going around that the show barely met the cutoff line that would allow it to be renewed, and that cutoff line is probably related to the number of viewers versus the budget. I can't think of budget being the reason they cancelled it. The show only has a few different locations and a cast of about 20 characters, CGI is barely present too, so it's really about the viewers. Not enough people watched it, and it's a damn shame, because it's a damn good show, with brilliant actors and direction that got the short end of the stick on advertising. It got released January 14th, the time where shows and movies are doomed to die. It really didn't deserve this, especially when it could have been given a chance later during the spooky season. Even more aggravating is that it broke to the top 10 most viewed shows on that week, surpassing established shows like Ozark, The Witcher, and Cobra Kai for at least that week. All of this without any star actors or advertising power. Creative and original shows are not being given a chance at Netflix anymore. Netflix just wants to hedge their bets. Release a bunch of garbage to fill the catalog, a couple of big shows to really bring subscribers in, and whatever other good shows are left to wade in the shitty waters of bad release dates, they get the scraps. The Netflix dream is dead. If you're a writer, I'm very sorry. I'm sure you probably have some interesting story to tell, and I hope you do get to tell it eventually, but Netflix doesn't seem like it will be an ideal home going forward. Would you really want to risk a deal with Netflix, knowing that it's likely your show will be canned without a conclusion? What made Netflix truly special was the feeling that if you had a good idea, it could be made, and now it seems it's more out of reach than ever. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you watched Archive 81 and what you think the future of Netflix holds. I appreciate all the support you can give the video. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Thank you again, and bye bye.